Hello everyone, Railgan here, and today is the big day. I'm going to use this video kind of as my guide for the 2-base Mutalisk into Nidus opener, or rather 2-base opener in general in the Zerg versus X matchup. Meaning this is a build, one build that you can play against every race in every matchup. Played in CVP, CVT, and CVC. Pretty much the exact same opener. I'm going to cover 9 different replays, 3 against Protoss, 2 against Terran, and 4 against Zerg. Already made 2 videos on how to play it against Terran, so I'm not going to cover a full 10 replays on Terran alone, right? We already saw quite a bit. The first game, I'm going to go through it a little bit slower to kind of explain you guys how it is all set up. And then in the following replays, I'm going to go a little bit faster to kind of show you guys the key points that happen during the game. This is a CVP, Grandmaster. Protoss is my opponent, and I'm opening with a hatch first into gas pool. Doesn't really matter if it's an 18 hatch, 17 hatch, 16 hatch. Not relevant for the build, just play whatever you're comfortable with. Then after the hatchery went down, I'm slowly droning up my gas. I sadly have to deal a little bit with the Protoss harassment here. It is just what happens pretty much every single game, isn't it? My opponent is also opening with a very standard opener. My first Overlord went straight across the map to try and scout him. Second Overlord, I kept at my natural in order to scout what my opponent is going for. If he's going for a cannon rush, proxy gates, whatever may come my way, this Overlord would have shown me. Then I'm spreading out my Overlords a little bit to scout for potential adepts. This Overlord is smartly placed in the high ground so I can see what he's building. I made 4 links to shy away the adepts. After my first 2 queens were done, which I started immediately, I kept mining gas, built 2 additional queens. I'm moving my 2 queens to the natural to block away the adept while I'm moving my 4 links into the main base. I'm going to show you guys why I'm building my upgrades and my lair, etc. at the timings that I do as well in this replay. So I'm trying to push the adept away. These 2 queens are going to push the adept away as good as they can. Next 2 queens are done. Made 2 more links, doesn't really matter too much. Trying to kill the adept right here. It's a bit of a hassle. I could already start the lair right now, but I'm trying to delay it for as long as possible. My link speed was a little bit late. Usually I start my link speed immediately, but I kind of messed it up a little bit. I start my lair right now. So the reason why I start my lair now against Protoss and not immediately as soon as I can. Like I could technically skip link speed, right? Just defend with queens, have 4 links to kill the slow adepts or whatever. But I delayed a little bit. What this allows me to do is, the Protoss right now sees that I keep mining gas, he scouts it with his adept, he sees nothing else though. He knows I don't have a third base, which puts him into panic mode. Now this is not really a strategy that you should think about too much if you're a lower league player, but then the higher leagues it's something that matters a lot, right? If you want to make certain that your opponent doesn't know what you're doing. It's a strategy game after all. At around the 3-minute 30 mark is usually when you want to fire up the spores. I usually go for 1 spore at the main and no spore at the natural. The reason for that is that I have 2 queens here and an additional queen at the larva station, the hatchery. So 3 queens are enough to shy away the oracle, but if I have enough drones I might as well just build it. I should right now try to scout if my opponent is getting a third base. I'm being a little bit sloppy with that. Built the roach one around 3:45, usually a pretty good time. You have to be a little bit wary of quick adept drop, quick DT drops, Arcan drops, you know, the usual shebang. So you want to get the roach one out in timely fashion. I'm then following it up with a Spire, and I'm getting Overlord speed. I'm not getting Overlord speed in every single game, but this game I kind of felt like doing it. It allows me to pretty easily get Overlords into position, just kind of suicide them constantly to get my get intel on my opponent and to also place Nidus Swarms if I'm not opening with a very Mutalisk heavy build. I'm showing him the Nidus network right here as well. Not really intentional, right? This means he does see the Nidus network. I always place the Nidus network away from the Spire, so he only sees one, right? If he sees a Nidus network and no Spire, there's a good chance that he's not building additional Phoenix, so I could just spam him to death with Mutas. This time around he sees both the Spire and the Nidus network, so I have to assume that he's going to be prepared for any and all Mutalisk attacks, so I'm not going to commit to Mutalisk. I'm saving up a lot of money right now. Keep in mind that just saturated my main and natural, didn't build any additional drones, we're completely even in economy. I know he did not take a third base, constantly scouting over here. I also know he's not moving out. I do know that he sent a Warp Prism across the map, making some Corruptors to hunt that one down, because the Warp Prisms are really annoying and I can't really kill it very well with Roaches naturally. So my Queens, however, can try and kill, but yeah. I'm going to speed this part a little bit up. Right now I'm spamming Roaches, right? I made this Spire, you don't have to build the Corruptors. The Corruptors are not a natural thing that you want to do. What the Spire and Nidus Swarm does in combination is just allow me for a lot of different options. Like I can either go mass Roaches, actually I forgot Roach speed this game. But what this really allows me to get a lot of, here now I'm getting the Roach speed. This allows me to get a lot of different tech units and I can swap around very quickly. I opened with a lot of different techs, right? I could have built 10 Mutalisks had he not scouted. I could have built Mass Ling. I could have built Mass Roach. Or I can go for a Roach Ravager Frontal Assault. Now this, in a traditional game, looks very much like just a big 2-base push, right? I'm trying to move down right here. He of course has complete vision on this. Still didn't throw my third base. You can drone your third base. It's just that I'm not doing it this game. Instead, I'm sending my Corruptors to pee on his main base. And I'm trying to take that one out, of course. Keep in mind, this is a pretty high-ranked GM Protoss player that we're fighting against here. So, not just some slob. Anyways, the Corruptors peed the Nexus down eventually. Protoss cannot repair their Nexi. The Protoss is now filled with Vengeance, pushing across the map. I'm now moving the drones from my main to my third base, still not really setting up the third. Now my Corruptors are getting ready for a counterattack while I'm defending over here. This is of course not very hard for me to defend. And now, until now, the build might look a little bit, well, it doesn't really look that intimidating, right? Now I'm sending out a couple lings, ooh, boo-hoo, boo-hoo, boo-hoo. Nothing is really happening with my Nidus. My Corruptors killed his Nexus, but that's also not something that happens every game. Not really droning very much. The Protoss actually has more workers than I do, but this is where the build is going to get interesting right now. Because it was also one of the first games that I started employing this strategy. Kind of spreading out my overlords right now so I can see attacks. I'm Nidusing my own base right now, which means that I can easily, I'm spreading all my units into Nidus Swarms right now, and I can easily send out any units that I have over there. Now, this is a very important step. I'm putting down a Nidus Swarm in front of his third base. What this allows me is to quickly retreat with my army. I can now teleport my main army from the Nidus Swarm, from my main base to my opponent's third base. Meaning I'm like a Protoss player now. And if you're looking at the minimap, you probably already saw it. But this also allows me to just teleport my units into my opponent's main base. Now my opponent was fighting me over here. I moved my entire army into his main base. He recalled because, I mean, he would lose his main base otherwise, right? But it means that I have like a huge advantage fighting over here. Because while he's recalling, I can do a bit of free damage. And then, next Nidus Swarm being set up down there. Opponent barely cleared out the main base. Boom. Units come out again. Into the main base. So I used a very, very quick attack to exploit the immobility of Protoss. Well, it's not really immobile if you can teleport your units from the third base to the main base, but I can kind of do that as well, right? So in this game, I just went for some corruptors because I was a little bit scared of the Archons and maybe some Phoenix play. So I just built some corruptors, but you don't really have to do that. Next game we're going to have a look at is this one. This is going to be a lot faster. It's going to show a little bit different of an execution. Against a, I don't know, like 6 KGM Protoss. He is a Protoss player that will not scout what I'm doing. Last game the Protoss scouted everything that I was doing, right? The opener is the same: hatch, gas, pool, drone, 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 drone. Two queens down there. I started the lair faster this time around actually. Roach warren on the way. Gas, gas. Gas, gas, gas. Spore crawler. Oracle does a little bit of damage. Nidus network. This time, instead of going for a spire, I'm going for a double Nidus network. What this allows me is to hit him even faster. My opponent went for a triple nexus into double robo opener. Kind of a standard. He definitely played it a little bit greedy. But if we check his scouting, up until now he hasn't seen anything. I'm not sure if he ever sees. Yeah, he sees the 3 queens, but that's not really enough of a tell, I guess. Now these networks are done. Queens are loading up. And now we're going to finish him. Double Nidus Storm coming out immediately. He sees that, right? He sees it. So he's going to react now. And this game kind of displays the strength of the double Nidus network. Now I can of course the units pop out twice as fast, which doesn't really matter too much here. I'm spreading creep immediately, trying to get into a position. He played it super greedy, right? His follow-up... Oh my god. Shut up, Diva. His follow-up was going to be Disruptors, I think. But I'm pressuring his main right now, and now I'm going for a double Nidus. Nidusing his third base and natural at the same time. Whichever Nidus he doesn't kill, he's gonna die for. So, units go back into this Nidus, units pop out of this Nidus, units kill that queen, units kill that Void Ray. And well, the queens don't really die, right? They are pretty tanky. Can transfuse them a bit. Another Nidus coming down here, another Nidus coming here, so I can teleport my queens from this space to the next one. I still have roaches in the Nidus worm, could pop out roaches over here. You get the idea. If your opponent doesn't scout, there's a lot of really easy ways to kind of just end the game right away. Next game, final Protoss game. Well, what happens if your opponent just goes into Phoenix, ET, Carrier? Let's watch. We're playing against Wolven Yun Fu. I think it's a very standard opener this game as well. Quick check, catch, gas, pool. Nothing special, nothing special. Probe is being a bitch. Right. It's deal with just droning up. Then 4 links. Trying to kill the probe. Can't kill the probe. Queens down here. 4 links in the main. Lair immediately. This time I also went for the faster lair. He scouts it. I'm not sure. I'm not sure which is smarter than the 340 or whatever Roach Warren. Link speed is done. Adepts went home. Protoss is scared. Oracle arrived. Phoenix is trying to scout a bit. Sees jack shit. He only sees what he already knew. Then he scouts a bit more. Sees the Spire. Immediate double Stargate Phoenix production. Yes. Double Stargate Phoenix. Pretty scary, right? So what is my reaction to this? I mean, I'm basically opening with the worst build you possibly can against a double Stargate. Because there's not really a way for mass Mutalisks to beat mass Phoenix. And if I just go mass Corruptor, then his charge slots will kill me. So what do? We get the third base. Don't really... I drone it a bit actually. Nice. And then I just counterattack across the map with roaches. as soon as my roach speed, I just started spamming roaches, and as soon as my roach speed is done, I'm moving in over here. Of course, the roaches die, but if the roaches do more damage to him by killing the workers compared to the time that he's spending killing my roaches, it's a good trade for me. That's kind of what I'm thinking. Then I'm setting up a Nidus worm over there, right? Nidus worm, good unit. Kind of making him move, making him feel a little bit scared. He's now down to 36 probes, which is a pretty good position for me to be in. He eventually clears up the Nidus worm. I don't really care too much. Nidus worm didn't really do too much. But once again we went Spire into the Roach Nidus. I was ready to actually unload my queens and everything if I need to, but I didn't really need to. Looking at the units, loss, killed 25 workers. Now he's starting to spam the carriers, so I think the damage that I did is by no means game ending, just pretty standard. He's now out of position with his zealots. So my roaches go in over here, boom, 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 boom. Killing a couple of his units. I don't know if this is that smart of a trade by me, but because he doesn't have charge, I think. He doesn't have charge. Denying his mining a bit, but then the carriers arrive. My Nidus worm gets shut down by the carriers. I was once again ready to kind of Nidus out all the good stuff, but then carriers arrived, and carriers are kind of hard to deal with. So now I'm gonna start spamming corruptors. My original idea, my OG plan was to make the corruptors and get carapace upgrades so they survive better against the Phoenix. Doesn't really work too well. I'm Nidusing over here. This is going to be another late game, or well, a position that I can use a little bit later on to attack the natural through this Nidus worm unless he cleans it up. Nidusing over here allows me to quickly retreat with my roaches once the Nidus worm is done. I don't want to lose all these roaches, and I don't know. Kind of hassle to deal with. Corruptors going in, sniping the carriers. I can also just rally out new units, of course, which can also be nice. Just trying to keep his his carrier count nice and small right there. I'm kiting the Phoenix with my the carriers and void rays with my corruptors, making sure only the Phoenix can shoot at me. Because the other units do too much damage while my roaches try to keep his spaces clean. He still has quite a nice air army, but it's slowly getting smaller and smaller as my corruptors keep pouncing at it. By now I'm up quite a bit in supply, and I'm mostly just spamming mass corruptor, and I'm also getting pretty cocky. Then queens start appearing while I keep spamming the corruptor stuff. Rallying out the link. I'm just building everything right now and rallying it straight into his base. And he doesn't really have the firepower he needs to kill all of my links. So using some Nidus, using some roaches, we were able to push him away, kill him. Easy peasy. Now to a little bit more wonky games, CVZ. CVZ is a bit of a weird matchup. First, I'm going to show you this Nidus MUTA game. Nidus MUTA. This CVZ, I don't think I'm actually going for Nidus MUTA. I'm opening with a pool first. This game doesn't really matter if you go pool first, hatch first, just do whatever you feel like. Pushing the Overlord away. My goal is to make this look like a normal 2-base roach opener, and then we deviate from there. I'm building one queen main, two queens in the main, one queen in the natural, walling off as soon as I have creep spread over here. I think pool first it feels better for me because then I can quickly spread creep into this area, and creep spread helps quite a bit. He is I'm not sure, I think it was like 6.5k for 6.3k, this Cirque player, so he's a pretty decent player. His scouts, what did he see? He saw the Spire. My usual CVC is to just go 2-base Spire with some Roach support and then Nidus. I couldn't really do that this game because, well, he scouted the Spire, right? And then he doesn't see the Nidus worm, which is kind of sad for him. But he sees the Spire. I made a couple Roaches, not too many, just kind of rolling around. And he's now preparing for the Mutalisks, I believe. He's beginning to produce mass queens, droning up quite a bit. And then he pounced. Instead of going for Mutalisks, against which he would be properly defended with Spores, Queens, having a higher having a higher drone count, instead I just start spamming him with Roaches. I still finished the Spire, so if I felt like it, I could just build my Mutalisks. But I don't really think I need to do that this game, so instead, Nidusing his main base, then Nidusing his third base, rallying my units into the Nidus worm, so all the new units immediately go into the Nidus network. Then my reinforcements pop out, go into his third base over there, GG's out, easy peasy. Easy peasy. Right, it looked a bit easy. All I really had to do was show him a Spire, he reacts to a Spire, I Nidus him instead. Nidus is so fast and strong that it's pretty hard to hold off right now. Now we're going to have a look at a bit of a different game where we both go for a Nidus. Because, I mean, Nidus is a pretty strong meta build right now, so there's always the question of, well, what if I go for a Nidus and my opponent Niduses as well, right? That's what we're trying to answer this game. He's going for a hatch first, I'm going for a pool first opener. Other than that, pretty much pretty much same stuff. Roach for an evolution chamber, walled off. Boom, queens are in position, lair is done, Spire is on the way as soon as lair is done. Gases are filled up. Gas. And I think this game I'm going for the standard opener, building 4 Mutas. 4 Mutas is usually the count that I want. Kind of, my goal with the Mutalisks is not to kill my opponent. I mean, I could go mass Muta, of course, like there's no reason why I wouldn't do that. But instead I'm just going for 4 Mutas, I'm getting +2/+1 upgrades as well. Kind of playing it more macro-y. My opponent is prepared with Spore Crawlers at every base, he has some Roaches over there. He built a Nidus network that I did not scout, but I'm also building a Nidus network, and I'm Nidusing him right now. It gets kind of weird when my opponent starts to Nidus me at the same time, so I'm Nidusing my opponent and he is Nidusing me, and we both don't know it. So my Roaches pop out in his main base. And his queens are gonna pop out in my main base. But he has too many Roaches for me to stop. So I have to retreat from his main base. Still killing drones at his third base. I retreated my drones from my main base to my third base. Now he's retreating home with his queens. I still have Roaches in his main base and his third base. And at this point it really kind of becomes a game of chopping your units around. You always want to have more units where your opponent has fewer, right? If he has 20 Roaches here and 10 Roaches here, then I want 30 Roaches here, kill these 10 and then kill the other 20. So that's kind of what's happening, right? He moved his army over there, so I'm just going into the main, taking a good trade, and once his entire army arrives in his main base, I just retreat. So I try to lose as few Roaches as I possibly can, just constantly. Swap left, swap right, swap left, swap. Forgot how to speak for a moment, but it's okay. And well, he still has queens in my base because I'd never cleaned up. I forgot to clean up the Nidus worm. And now he has a lot of Roaches in my base and it's getting pretty scared, right? He has a 10 army supply advantage. I still have Mutas, which aren't really useful. So he has a total of 10 Roaches and 4 queens more than I do. I on the other hand have more workers, so I have to take a good fight in my main base right now. The advantage that I do have is that my +1 carapace is done and my +2 missile upgrade is almost done as well. So that is what I'm going to use to try and win a fight here. You're going to see the lair is going to go pretty low in this fight. I want to keep these drones here because it's really important for me to get gas. I'm not mining gas at my third base. And the lair is going lower and lower. I'm still a little bit behind in army supply. Still didn't quite catch up. We're both producing quite a few roaches at a time. But I'm starting to push my way through him here. I have a couple roaches on this side of the map as well, just harassing him, cleared out his third base. And my superior roach upgrades are starting to pull through in his main base. In my main base, sorry. He sadly does kill my main, but he's losing quite a few units, including all his queens. Which is kind of okay for me. Looking at the workers lost, I killed 11, he killed 6, so it's mostly the hatchery that had to take the brunt damage. I don't know what my workers were doing here, kinda messed up. But I'm then going for more pressure. I think I'm going for another Nidus in his main again, trying to pull him to his third base. I think I finished, no I don't finish the third base this time, then I just Nidus his main. I don't know what he's doing. Yeah, he already rallied his unit there because he knows. It's always main, third, but he doesn't know if I'm going for the attack in the main or third base, and then he kinda messes up the split. Sends 5 units into the main base, so I can once again just pounce out of the main. Then throw down a Nidus network over there. Try to take a good trade over here. Can't quite do it. Nidus networks are so cheap though, and Nidus rooms are so cheap that it's really easy for me to get into an advantageous position. My main is almost rebuilt. Roaches, come out. Come out, wherever you are. Or do they? What the fuck was I doing here? Well, I cannot kill the third base if there's that many units, so I just kind of Nidus main, Nidus third, Nidus main. Then I think I Nidus the main base and he scouts it, so he moves his army to my main base in a second because he he's very scared of units popping out in my main base. But he's so scared that he forgets that my army is at his third base, so my army just goes into his third base. Kills the hatchery. Then sees that there's too many units in his main base, so I retreat from his main. He loses his third base and now he's on 2 mining bases that are both half mined out, right? So he just lost a lot right there. Well, I just keep producing roaches at this point, keep trying to attack his third base. Then once again, he's trying to defend his third base against this force, and I'm just pouncing him in his main. If you look at the army value, at the army supply, I'm actually behind, right? Technically, I shouldn't be winning fights, because I have fewer units than him. I have slightly more workers that don't really matter. But all I really have is the mobility of the Nidus worm. I can't really Nidus him if he is patrolling with 6 roaches. But I'm now trying to use like the smart Niduses. I have a Nidus from here, so if he has too many units, I just retreat into it. He has a lot of units at his home. The issue with having so many roaches in your main patrolling is that you're really going to lack them in the big fight. And then he moves in. I'm building a Nidus here because I figured if I build a Nidus I might be able to zone him out a bit. I went back to Mutalisks because I know he doesn't have anti-air and I knew that he was going for an attack, and I had enough gas because I was mining on 3 bases and he only on 2. So I was able to eventually push through just by the sheer power of the Nidus. I mean, we both went Nidus. It was a bit of a weird game, and the next game, let's see. This one is a fun one. Against Next. It's only Master League, but I think it's like 5-6, 5-7 MMR. Game was pretty early on in the season. Not everybody got GM yet. He's definitely a good player though. Hatch gas pool. Pool hatch gas. I don't know. We already saw the opening many times, so let's skip on through it. a creep to more, so I can get my Roach 1, Evolution Chamber wall off, drone, Evolution Chamber wall, fully wall off, because I don't want to be fucked by the links. Roach for defense, because I was scared of an all-in. Lair done, Spire, third base whenever I feel like it, +1/+1, doesn't really matter if you get +1/+1 or only +1. Yeah, MUTA come out. Opponent built 6 spore crawlers. Opponent is actually slightly behind in workers because he's building so many spore crawlers and so many roaches. He was preparing for a roach attack, but is getting mutalisked instead. And now I'm going to show you why I like to play MUTA so much in this matchup together with the Nidus. I built the Nidus wherever I felt like it. I droned up 3 bases fully. I can really start mass producing the Roacharonis. And my opponent is going for a Roach Hydra force, so he's going to have a superior force. I'm moving across the map and I'm plopping down a Nidus Worm. And if you remember that first CVP game, the strategy is going to feel very, very familiar to that one. It's kind of the same thing, right? I got my army positioned in front of his main that can consist. I can just teleport my units across the map right in front of his third base. Now my mutalists are going to try and fly around, get a Nidus into his main base, so I can attack him at different fronts. And this is where he starts to struggle, right? First of all, he has mutas in his main base, so he needs Hydras there. Then he has a huge army over here. I had my queens here as well. My units just go into the Nidus, teleport out in his main. Then I'm plopping down another Nidus in his third base in a sec right here. He's losing a lot of workers here. 8 workers just went down. 9. Losing a couple army units as well. Units go into this Nidus. Units come out over here. While this is all happening, look at the income down here. He's mining about half of what I'm mining. Of course, I have a higher supply count right now and a bigger bank. And then eventually he does manage to clean me up. I'm now 17 supply ahead, and he's still shuffling around his units, mining a lot less than me. I'm cruising on 4 bases, right? I could make my Hydra transition if I would want to. I could also lurker Nidus or whatever. But instead, I'm setting up another Nidus Worm down here, setting down another Nidus in his main base. He moves his units into the main base to defend against that. I just move into his natural, into his third base, while half of his units are in the main. Then I'm throwing down a Nidus in his natural that I use the changeling to get vision. Then he has to be ready to defend against in the natural, where I'm going to plop out the roaches. At the same time, I'm attacking him at his third base, where he has to defend. And if he has fewer units than I do at his natural, he loses the fight at the natural. But in this example, he's actually losing the fight at the natural and at the third base at the same time. And he's dead. Amazing, isn't it? Just Nidus pressure. Pressure. We're not done yet, guys. We've been here for half an hour. We're going to look at more games. Which one did we not look at yet? We looked at this, we looked at this, we looked at next. We're going to look at Agaham from the E-Wolves. Have a quick look at this game. Happening. What's going on? Hatch gas pool. I went hatch gas. Water, guys. Yeah, nothing exciting is happening here, so whatever. The usual is going for some roaches for defense, attackers, I don't know. I'm going for a spear. A spear. He is trying to move out with his roaches, but he sees that I have a plenty of roach as well, and he sees that I have a Nidus. He sees that I have a Nidus. Our units are under attack. And, well, the usual, right? MUTA is move across. Nidus is main base. Nidus is third base. He's building a lot of spores, poor guy. Kind of pushing me away over here, trying to flee with my roaches to his natural. Not really the best trade that I got here. Then eventually I do get a couple drones in his third base as well. Retreating with my roaches, then setting up another Nidus in his main where my MUTA is for fighting against his units. Setting up another Nidus at his third base. This overseer is actually giving me vision on both his main and his third base right now. Units killed. I killed a total of 20 workers. I am just constantly killing workers and spore crawlers. Now I killed the spores over here to have some leeway with attacks. Then he just moves across the map because he's like, I had enough. You killed so many of my workers. I did kill some roaches though, so it's okay. Then I'm Nidusing my third base so I can teleport my units to my third base as well, not just to my natural. Making some Ravagers. B-Tech active. Yeah, dude. Fourth base. Fourth base, because my main is mining out. Hydra then, because in case I need a follow-up. I think I'm gonna... What am I doing here now? Just putting some pressure on him. I still have the... Dropping down another Nidus at his third base. He's moving his army to his third, so what am I doing with mine? I'm following him. Trying to get some cheeky biles happening. He doesn't really have any Ravagers, so that helps me a bit. Then Nidusing his main base, he sadly cleans that one up as well. I lose quite a few Nidus worms. Let me check. This game, 7 Nidus worms already died. This fight right here is really bad for me because he has so many Hydras here that are gunning down my Ravagers. Of course, I have a lot more supply than he sees right now, right? I just have most of it in Nidus worms that are ready to plop out my units at any time. So when he finally moves in, he quickly realizes, hot damn, this boy be having the unit spawn. No. Well, the Ravagers are making him dance. So I'm plopping down another Nidus over here so I can rally units into his natural. And just kind of as a distraction as well. Because he sees the Nidus, so he should react to it, ideally. I hope. But he's going to react to it at a pretty unfortunate time. Trying to push him back in the middle of the map. Now I'm Nidusing his main base as well. So I can teleport my units into his main base now. He's getting pushed back over here, so I'm pushing him through the middle. Keep in mind I have more income, so it's hard for him to sustain a fight where we're kind of trading evenly. Now moving into his into his third base with my army, while he has to defend his main base from this harass right here. And he has to kill this Nidus worm, because else units could run into his natural. But because he's doing that, he ends up losing everything at his third base, which is a pretty hefty loss. Boom, the overlords died as well. And well, third base actually manages to live, so my units got a bit stuck in that mineral line, so I just teleport them into the main base. Snipe the ever-living shit out of that main, yo. Pop. Oh, it's not lag, that was just me pausing. Then, getting ready to Nidus his third base as well, but I mean, he's already dead. Omae wo Mushindaru. That was it for the CVCs, I think. Now we have 2 more games to look at. The CVT. Let's have a look at this one. Kaup. CVT I usually open with a free roach opener, meaning I go pool, hutch, gas. Kinda like in CVC, I guess. Yeah. Then queens. Not building. I'm actually not going for the roaches this time. I'm going for the links instead. Doesn't really matter too much. I sent 2 links across the map. They didn't accomplish anything. Just did some scouting. Oh, he went for Hellions. That's all I really know. Then I'm throwing down the Roach Warren, throwing down the Spire, so it's kind of a 2-base Spire opener. Getting the Roach speed, because I like Roaches against the mechy people. He's building eBay right now, pushing across the map with Hellions. I went for a 430 double spore is what I do against Terran usually. Then I'm getting the 3rd base as soon as I feel comfortable. The Hellions are gonna be a bit of a bitch right here. They're going to kill quite a few workers. I'm trying to split my workers as best I can and surround the Hellions if I can as well. Regardless of that, I end up losing a total of 16 workers, which definitely hurts, but I mean... we also lost 10 Hellions, so... who cares? Mutalisks are here, ready to attack him a little bit, throwing down the double Nidus network, because I really want to get a Nidus worm into his main base with double roach backup right now. So... Liberator patrolling. This guy's not a bad player, by the way, so... keep that in mind. Yeah, he knows how to micro-raise you. He has some Widow Mines over here that are very scary for my Mutalisks. Imagine my Mutas flying into that. He is only on 2 bases while I have my 3rd base set up though, so he's scanning now. It's like, where's the 3rd? Then he scans my 3rd base and it's like, is there a 4th? Like, why would you even scan that? And this follow-up is Banshees. I see that quite a bit right now where people follow it up with Banshees. I built the Nidus networks quite a while ago, but I didn't really use them yet. And now I'm going for a double Nidus in his main, because he's actually moving out a bit. I can't really Nidus his main base very well, while he has his entire army in his main. But now that he moved it a little bit to the 3rd base, or just out on the map in general, I'm using that to immediately Nidus his main base and pull him back home. I have a superior economy at home, so the longer this goes on, the better for me. Now I'm Nidusing his 3rd base as well, so he has to go clean that one up. My Overlord speed is a little bit late. He's going for, I think this is kind of a standard mech opener right now, right? Banshees, and then Hellbats, and then Force. It seems very standard to me. Boom, 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 boom. I saw that I could kill a couple Hellbats there, so I moved my roaches out and they just retreat back home again. And at this point in the game, I'm up 25 workers. My opponent still couldn't get that 3rd base down. Going for another double Nidus worm in double Nidus push into his main base, killing whatever I can. I can't really kill too much right here. He's still trying to take his 3rd base. I got enough money to max out, so I would have double his supply. Just checking, like, is this actually his 4th base? Well, it's not. I'm building some corruptors because Banshees can be a pain, especially if he has Force. But Nidusing his 3rd base and his non-existent 4th at the same time. Morphing some Ravagers. And then we're going in for the kill, because apparently I'm up, I have like twice as much army supply as he does, and he just rage quits out of the game. Easy, right? That's like the easy kind of game. Now we're going to look at a challenging one. Because in that game I just took complete control with my initial Mutalisk and then the Nidus. And that just won me the game already, and all I had to do was slowly play it out and take it home. Now we're playing against the GM Terran Ayala. A very good player. You might have heard of him before. Other known aliases or like Pyromarine, Euthermal. I think Serral used to be go by this name as well, so very promising. He's going for a double reactor opener. I went for the free roach opener that didn't really do too much. I followed up with roach speed. 4 crawlers for 30. We kill the Hellions. Drone. Red creep, Nidus. No Spire this time. I don't really think too much whether I should build Spire or not. I don't know. I'm building a Spire anyways. I think I made too many roaches that I couldn't afford the Spire, so I just built the Nidus network. Then he scanned the Nidus network, so I figured might as well build the Spire. Roaches are trying to be active on the map. Plus on melee and carapace. So I'm opening with roaches. Then I'm going for ling upgrades instead. And that's a very, very important decision because I prefer to play... I like to play Roach Ravager against mech. But I also believe that ling upgrades are more important than Roach upgrades because I really like a lot of ling Bane as well. My opponent is more than ready for my MUTA list. I'm just kind of harassing him a bit. Cyclones... Pew OP units. He knows I have the Nidus network, so he should be more than ready for that. I just thrown up my third base and I'm going to throw up... I'm making some Ravagers actually, because I was a little bit scared of a move out. This map is very nice to spread creep, because you just have to like 1, 2 more, 2 more, 3, 2 more, and you're already over here. And you can spread creep across the map on this one very fast. +2/+2. More Link Bane Ravager. Opponent spamming the Cyclone, spamming the Hellion. And well, I mean, it's a very common composition at the moment, the Cyclone Hellbat. Oh, this poor turret. Oh no. What if there's like a guy stuck in there that cannot come out? I mean, there's always a guy in these turrets, right? Like in the little cockpit there, there's a guy. Is there a guy stuck in here? Poor guy. Anyways. I'm playing it very defensive right now, even though I do have the Nidus Worm and all the other capabilities. I could just technically Nidus him over here. How did he know? I also like to keep a high Mutalist scout even if they're not that useful. Especially in this game, they're not that useful to me. But the Nidus into his main base allows me to distract his army, move it a little bit away, and then I immediately try to go for an attack across the map as soon as I'm able to pull him away. But I can't really get too much done because units everywhere and the Ravagers aren't that useful either. Just checking whatever I can. The mobility of the Mutalisks is really nice because it allows me to kill tanks very fast if he doesn't secure them with turrets and force. Sadly, the Cyclones kill my Mutalisks insanely quickly. Like it's insane. I'm always looking for openings, especially in his main base where I could attack him with my Lings, because upgraded Lings shred buildings pretty fast. They also shred workers fast and they're cheap to replace. The only thing that I really need in my main army is the Baneling. The Baneling is the key unit in the main army. Because Banelings can wreck this really well. Banelings are not good against tanks, because tanks do a lot of AoE, but they kill Hellbats really fast, and Cyclones are really scared, because Cyclones usually like to attack the Banelings, and then they lock on to them. Their lock on goes on cooldown and they die. So right there we just quickly rolled over an enemy army. Just move commanded the Banelings in and everything died. Sadly. Fucking Widow Mines, boys. Thing goes on for a little while longer, so let's Nidus Swarm here. I'm going for an Ultralisk follow-up. Actually cleaning up the Widow Mines for once. He's going for he decides to go for a Mass Liberator follow-up, which is pretty scary for me. We're going to see it in action soon. Pinning up the Liberators down here. He's also pushing around with his main army a lot. I just have to constantly respread the creep, because on creep he can't really fight me very well. I'm not really using the Nidus room that much right now. I'm mostly focusing on my Ling Bane army. Cyclone Elbet pushing around. Yeah, I'm just looking for an opening right here. I'm distracting him down here with my Ling Bane Ultra Force and then with my couple Ultras, and then I'm just going in here. And you can really see how he's struggling. It's like 15 Banelings. And he's fighting with almost all of his army and he can barely kill these off. In the end they almost rolled into his army. Killed off a lot of it. I just kinda rolled into there casually. Then I'm following it up with a lot of mutas, which ends up being a pretty big mistake, cause Mass Muta against Cyclone Liberator. I don't know, boys. Another Nidus in his main base as soon as he moves out on the map. With my links over here so I can get a Nidus up over here. You can of course kill it pretty easily from the high ground. While he moves his army into the main base, I'm trying to attack him over here with my Mutalist. He has a lot of Liberators though, which kill my Mutas pretty fast. And he has a huge orbital command farm down here that I really want to take care of. So I'm going in here. Killing this off with Banelings. I have a lot of money, right? I'm cruising at 80 workers. While I'm doing all the harassment over here, I'm just mass expanding everywhere, taking bases, droning them up, filling the gas. I need a lot of gas. Always looking for new places where I could potentially harass him. And now the Mass Liberators. Well, it turns out Mass Liberator is pretty good against Mass Muta. Especially because he keeps kiting my Mutalists, so they clump up. Trying to move him over the Spore, but they don't really care much about the Spores either apparently. Also trying to get my Queens to help, but in the end it just cleans up all my Mutalists and leaves me a pretty sad boy. So I'm making some Corruptors now. Sadly a lot of Corruptors are morphing over there, so they immediately get killed. Another Nidus over here. I still managed to clean quite a bit of his army. Eventually pushes across the map, but of course we already saw in the past what happens. Just going to be a repeat now. Banelings roll in. Banelings roll in. Ultralisks from every direction. Just move command the Banelings, don't A-move. And his army is cleaned up. Just a quick attack from every direction. And now it's down to 50 supply, he has 14 workers. I don't know, did I? Guess it just didn't really rebuild. Did he lose that many? Here he's still at 22. 10. Oh yeah, this attack right here killed his last worker, so he was kind of forced to go for an all-in. Because he was out in the middle of the map. I could have of course just Nidus Tome or something like that, but hey. I was very busy dealing with the Liberators over there. I didn't actually realize how many workers I was killing. I'm looking for places for my Banelings to do damage, but I couldn't find any. Then I roll in and kill all his Hellions with like 6 Banelings, and then he moves across the map. He has more army value. But yeah, we already saw this fight. And at this point in the game, safe to say, with 60 supply against 163, game is pretty over. I'm just plopping down Niduses everywhere, moving in, killing him. That's it. 1 hour of Railgan plays Mutalisk Nidus.